Howdy, it's Jim Arado, and this is late January 2023, and we're in Hodgenville, Kentucky, at the Abraham Lincoln Birthplace National Historic Park. I think that's the official name. I usually just call it the Lincoln Birthsite National Park, Lincoln Birthplace National Park, something like that. And we're actually taking the I think this is fairly newer. I've never really noticed it before, but there's like a little walkway going from the visitor center up to the kind of monument that houses the symbolic cabin where Abraham Lincoln was born. The cabin, and we're actually going to talk to a volunteer here in a moment who gives us some really good information. The cabin is symbolic, but it is in the right spot. And at one point, there was a cabin purchased from this area, I believe, that they thought was Abraham Lincoln's birth cabin, and it toured and was on display along with Jefferson Davis's cabin from his youth. During that whole process, some of the logs got mixed up, and eventually those logs were used to build this cabin. So, later on, they figured out that the logs that they thought were from Abraham Lincoln's birth cabin were too new to be those logs that would have been there at the time of his birth. So, ultimately, as this volunteer will explain momentarily, the Abraham Lincoln birth site symbolic cabin does have some logs from the area, but they were not from Lincoln's cabin. But there are definitely some logs from Jefferson Davis's cabin there, which is just ironic. So you could argue that this is just as much of a somewhat of a tribute to Jefferson Davis as it is Lincoln. Just something to think about. Anyway, I think that's an interesting bit of history and ironic. But anyway, I love coming to this park. It's great. Huge. Just always interested in anything Lincoln related. Of course, if you've looked at my YouTube channel before, you know I've got plenty of other sites relating to Lincoln here. In fact, I've put up videos about this national park before. And this is just a kind of a shorter one. We were here recently, and I enjoyed my conversation with this volunteer, and I thought, man, I should put this up. This is just fascinating if you didn't know. And again, I kind of enjoyed coming up this, I guess it would be wheelchair accessible kind of ramp going up to the cabin, which is very nice. So yeah, just check this out with me. I'll include the conversation with this volunteer. Let me know what you think about the cabin. Let me know if you have any thoughts on it yourself. I just love this park, love this cabin. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Let me know if you have any questions.
Sure, thank you.
At least you're nice and warm in here.
Yes.
Pardon? At least you're nice and warm in here. It is. It's also very echoey. I have a hard time. Yes. This is what's called a symbolic cabin.
Yes.
When they bought it, they thought it was the original, but they had the logs tested, and they're from 1848, and he was born in 1809.
Wasn't there some confusion? Weren't they thinking at one time some of the logs may have been from Jefferson Davis's?
Oh, yeah, they're sure of that. Yeah.
So some of these
Are Jefferson from
how
his cabin.
ironic. Definitely some from
Yes.
Jefferson Davis's.
Yes, and it happened, they both toured the country in the 1890s and even went to the World's Fair, and they were on the back of railroad cars. So they were set up and taken down. So one was numbered with Roman numerals and the other used the Arabic numbers. So they went into storage, and then this group bought it and brought it here, and as they set it up, they found both numbering systems.
Do they know which? Is there
Oh, I assume somebody knows,
yeah,
I don't.
Yeah.
So if this was not the original cabin, then the original has been lost to history, so.
Yes, he only lived in it till he was 2, and who knew it then that it'd be worth saving. This one was purchased on land in this area, and that's why they believed it originally was the
one.
one.
Watch that. The more I think about that, just the irony that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another thing, that longer log against the wall of the cabin, I always found this interesting. Now it's cemented in, but it would have been just clay and mud, and that was their fire break. If the fire was getting out of control in the fireplace, if they pulled that out, the top of the fireplace fell down and smothered the fire.
Ingenious things.
Yeah.
Back then.
There is symbolism in the building also. I don't know if you're aware of. There's 56 steps coming up because it's 56 when he was shot. There are 16 rosettes and 16 windows other than the skylight because he was the 16th president. And there's even just 16 stanchions holding the chain.
Oh.
So they tried to build in quite a bit of symbolism
Yes.
into the
Oh,
building
yeah.
itself. And this building is actually older than the Lincoln Memorial in Washington. This is actually the first and oldest memorial building.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they think this location is correct here because he was heard to say he was born on the knoll above the springs, and the springs are at the base of the stairs. But yeah, this group kind of rushed their construction because they wanted to lay that cornerstone in 1909.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I used to live in central Illinois, so for a while we lived in Coles County, which their fairgrounds were one of the sites of the Lincoln Douglas debates. And then we lived just south of Springfield, so my son's most school trips, they either went to the Tube or the home.
Well, I appreciate your info on the Jefferson Davis
You're
stuff.
very
That's
welcome.
something.
I'm glad you stopped in.
Confirmation, yes. Well, thank you. And that is one of the many reasons I love going to national parks and talking to the staff there. They're always, these are people that care about history too, and they care about the parks. And they're usually just a wealth of information, and she was wonderful. I did cut out a little bit of that conversation. It got a little jumpy, but yeah, she just had some really interesting info, and she had lived, near Springfield too, so she knew some stuff about Springfield, and we compared notes, and that was just a great conversation. I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, stopping to see the springs here too, and it's great that they have the springs that Lincoln would have, a 2-year-old Lincoln would have appreciated here. And yeah, that was the Springs. I always enjoy stopping there when I come to this park. And we're about to take a little walk on the little Boundary Oak hiking trail that they have here. It's not even, I think maybe a third of a mile, I think it says. But it's a very pleasant little walk. And I thought I would just film a little bit of that. Again, this is the, Abraham Lincoln Birthplace National Park in Hodgenville, Kentucky. I've put up a longer video about this place with more information previously, but I just wanted to put up this quick video. It's 10-12 minutes from our recent visit in January. Just because, and because I had that great conversation a moment ago. Of course, if you're familiar with this area, there's also the Boyhood Home Cabin, which is just a few miles down the road. I'll put up another video about that. And I've previously put up another video about that site too, the Knob Creek location. Hodgenville is a great little town. I'm going to put up another video about Hodgenville. Just a cute, small little town that's very underrated. They've got a great burger place, Leahy's, I think Red Castle. Been there since 1934. Vibe Coffee. And they've got some other neat little shops around the main square in Hodgenville. And I'm just very big on Hodgenville. I would say probably once a year or so, my wife and I try to make it down here just to hang out at the park and to enjoy Hodgenville. This is us leaving the park. There's the visitor center. Also a great railroad museum, maybe 5 miles down the road. And they do excursions. You can actually ride a train, and it's really nice. And just wanted to mention that. But yeah, this is us leaving the park. Again, thought I would just put this back up, or put another video up, because this is such a great park and a great area. And it's, as you can see, it's not crowded. And I've rarely been here when there's been, a massive crowd. It's always just a nice, pleasant, tranquil park to come to.